In a forest that is not too dense, there is a woman named Beth. There she is, hiking alone. Then the scene shifts to a man, who is also Beth's boyfriend, named Zach, who is buying a burial shroud for Beth. This is because Beth has been reported dead while hiking, due to a snake bite. Then the scene shifts again to a funeral home, where Zach gives the shroud he bought earlier to Maury, Beth's father. Meanwhile, Jeannie, Beth's mother, is devastated and almost traumatized by her daughter's passing. The next day, it is clear that Zach's mental health is deteriorating due to the loss of his girlfriend. Zach spends his days alone, staring off into space by the pool. Then Zach decides to visit Beth's home to maintain his relationship with Beth's family. There, Zach joins Maury for a game of chess while discussing Beth's passing. Meanwhile, Jeannie is packing up Beth's belongings to store them elsewhere. During the visit, Zach also confides in Maury that he and Beth had been having some relationship issues before she died. However, as a caring father, Maury advises Zach to let go of Beth and not to dwell on the negative memories. As the night goes on, it's suddenly 3 a.m. Zach, who is about to leave, is given one of Beth's scarves before he goes. The next morning, Zach returns to Maury's house, bringing pudding as a gesture of goodwill. But since no one answers the door, he leaves the pudding on the doorstep and heads back home. The following day, Zach visits Maury's house again, but once more no one answers the door. Zach listens closely and hears faint voices inside, suggesting that Maury and his family are home but do not want to open the door for him. Curious, Zach sneaks around the side of the house and peeks through a window. To his shock, he sees Beth alive inside. He rushes to the front door, pounding on it, desperate to see Beth. However, the family still does not open the door for him. Coincidentally, Zach's brother Kyle, who is a police officer in the area, sees Zach causing a disturbance and tries to calm him down. Kyle tells Zach to go home, dismissing his behavior as inappropriate. Feeling like the family is playing a cruel joke on him, Zach forces his way into the house to find Beth, since he caught them and saw that Beth is indeed alive. The three of them argue, but no one can explain the situation to Zach. Beth herself is confused because she cannot remember anything that happened before her supposed death. Zach, feeling manipulated by the family, becomes angry and storms out of the house. Back at home, Zach informs his family that Beth is still alive. However, Zach's family believes he is so traumatized by Beth's death that he is hallucinating. The next morning, Zach returns to Maury's house to confirm whether he really saw Beth alive or if he was hallucinating. Maury then admits to Zach that Beth has been resurrected and asks him to keep this a secret from Beth and the public. They believe that Beth has been granted a divine miracle that allowed her to come back to life. Zach, however, finds it hard to believe that Beth received a divine blessing, especially considering that she clawed her way out of her grave like a zombie. In the middle of their conversation, Beth suddenly arrives and immediately greets Zach, inviting him up to the attic. Although he is hesitant, fearing that Beth might bite him, he eventually agrees due to Maury and Beth's request. In the attic, Beth mentions that she finds it odd how the people around her are suddenly acting strange toward her. She also struggles to remember anything that happened, including the hike and the breakup with Zach. However, the only thing she can remember is worrying about an upcoming exam. Zach, who overhears this, accidentally says something that upsets Beth with his question. Zach quickly reassures her by telling her that she's the only woman he has ever loved. Finally, they agree to go out for a short walk outside. However, Maury and Jeannie, who have been eavesdropping, do not approve of Zach's plan to take Beth out for a walk during the day. They suggest that Beth and Zach go out at night instead. In the end, though, Maury and Jeannie still do not allow them to go out for a walk that night, and instead suggest they go for a swim. While at the pool, Beth again talks about her worries regarding the exam tomorrow. As she rambles on, Zach secretly notices the snake bite on Beth's thigh, which appears to have started rotting. The next morning, Zach, despite knowing the truth about Beth, is still happy to see her alive again. That morning, he visits Beth's house once more to check on his girlfriend. However, this time, Beth displays odd behavior by gathering soil with her hands and bringing it into the house. Zach, concerned by what he saw, advises Maury that it might be best to tell Beth the truth about her death. But Maury, deeply caring for his daughter, doesn't want to tell her. Fearing that it will only confuse and sadden Beth further, Moreover, Maury sternly warns Zach not to say anything about this to Beth if he still wants to see her again. Disagreeing with Maury, Zach and Maury end up in a heated argument, until Maury eventually forbids Zach from seeing Beth anymore. That night, Zach sneaks back to Beth's house, climbs up to the attic, and quietly persuades Beth to go for a walk outside and visit a beach he had prepared for them earlier. At the beach, Zach surprises Beth by singing a song, the lyrics of which are meant to explain Beth's current situation. However, the song has the opposite effect, causing Beth to become enraged and destroy the lifeguard tower on the beach. Zach, shocked by Beth's newfound strength, tries to calm her down, though she pushes him back forcefully. Zach then takes Beth into the car and plans to drive her back home. But while in the car, Beth's odd behavior returns as she breaks the car window. After the incident, Beth then asks Zach about the broken window, even though she was the one who shattered it earlier. Zach realizes that Beth cannot remember the recent past, even events from just a few minutes ago. Zach drives Beth back to her home, using the attic entrance as they did before. In the attic, the walls are now covered in dirt. Beth suddenly takes out a tape recorder and starts playing smooth jazz music while removing her shirt in front of Zach. Zach, frightened by this, tries to escape. The next day, at a local cafe, Zach accidentally runs into a beautiful woman named Erica, a friend he hasn't seen in a long time. At the cafe, Zach and Erica sit together and talk about Beth's death, which has left Zach heartbroken. Erica tries to comfort Zach by offering him motivational words to lift his spirits. After a brief conversation, Zach plans to leave first after paying for the food at the cafe. As Zach starts his car and prepares to leave, Beth suddenly appears in front of the vehicle, shouting Zach's name. Startled, Zach fails to brake in time and accidentally hits Beth, running her over. Despite being run over, Beth seems unaffected, which terrifies the onlookers. While Beth and Zach are talking, Erica walks out of the cafe and greets Zach warmly. Zach introduces Beth to Erica, and Erica asks if this is another Beth, while reaching for Zach's hand. Beth, seeing this, becomes angry and pushes Erica away from Zach. Beth, who had overheard Erica's comment about whether this is another Beth, feels even more confused about what has happened to her. Finally, Zach, unable to take it any longer, brings Beth to her grave and explains everything to her, telling Beth that she is actually dead. Hearing this, Beth becomes even more confused, wondering how she could be dead yet still alive. Zach also tells Beth that he can no longer be with her because he is too afraid to be near her. Hearing this, Beth becomes furious and storms off, taking Zach's car. Zach eventually returns home on foot. As he's about to enter, he hears gunshots from inside his house. It turns out the shots were fired by Kyle, Zach's brother, who is aiming his gun at their deceased grandfather, who has also risen from the grave. Zach realizes that all of this is real, and he also shares his experience with Beth with Kyle. Feeling that the situation is getting serious, they are soon confronted by two zombies, the previous owners of their house. Zach then suggests that his family pack up and leave for a safer place due to the growing danger. Shortly after, Maury comes to Zach's house and asks him to come over, insisting that Beth isn't dead so she can calm down. When Zach returns to Maury's house, it becomes clear that the situation is completely out of control, with Beth going on a rampage and attacking people who accidentally pass by the house. Desperate, Zach remembers one of Maury's helpers, a woman named Perline, who is originally from Haiti. It's said that Haitians are familiar with dealing with zombies. As Zach prepares to leave in his car, Beth suddenly appears in the vehicle playing smooth jazz. As a result, Zach drives away with Beth, heading to Perline's residence. When they arrive at Perline's place, Zach knocks on the door. Unfortunately, Perline is no longer there, only her brother remains. As Zach returns to the car, Maury suddenly arrives and hits Zach on the head, angry that Zach has once again taken Beth out of the house. The next morning, Zach returns to his home to see his family. However, when he arrives, he finds the house in disarray, with several burned corpses lying around. Believing these bodies to be those of his family, Zach quickly packs his belongings. Zach heads straight to Beth's house to check on the situation there. But now Beth's house is also in disarray, with everything thrown into chaos. Zach heads to the kitchen and finds Jeannie feeding Beth by cutting off parts of her own fingers to give to Beth. Jeannie then explains that Maury was killed by Beth and she is the only one who managed to survive. Zach quickly bandages Jeannie's hand and tells her to rest, assuring her that he will take care of Beth. Zach then tries to convince Beth to join him on another hike, and fortunately Beth agrees to go hiking with Zach. As they head outside, Zach runs into Kyle, his brother, who is busy dealing with the zombie outbreak by hunting down the undead. Kyle, seeing Beth, aims his weapon at her, intending to kill her immediately. Zach, however, confronts Kyle, asking where their parents are. Kyle reveals that their parents are safe, hiding at Dr. Levin's house. This revelation leads to a heated argument between the two brothers, as Zach refuses to let Beth die, while Kyle is determined to stop Beth before she causes more harm. Eventually, Kyle hands his gun to Zach and tells him to be the one to kill Beth if he truly cares about her. Now, Zach and Beth continue their hike together. They stop at a scenic spot to enjoy the beauty of nature, and at that moment, Zach knows what he must do. He takes out the gun and prepares to shoot Beth in the head. After finishing what had to be done, Zach goes to Dr. Levin's house to reunite with Kyle and his parents. There, they find Erica, who is still in shock from witnessing everything that has happened. As they are about to leave the town to escape the chaos, the electricity suddenly comes back on, and a live broadcast appears on TV. The broadcast announces that the public need not worry anymore because the situation has been brought under control. In the final scene of the film, Zach is shown visiting Beth's grave with his family, before leaving the cemetery in a car with his parents and Erica, and the film ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, because by subscribing you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.